Welcome back, OGN Legion, LCK Spring 2018. Yes, SKT dominated ROX that game. Faker doing so much damage on the Azir, but it was honestly a team effort this time around, wasn't it, Pop Smithy?
Yeah, I'd be very surprised to see his name anywhere near the MVPs here. I think there was a lot of argument for Wolf to win the MVP here. Bang had a great series, flashing aggressively. Definitely see one of those highlight clips. Blossom, you know, it's what he brings to the team, this youthful exuberance, this aggression, and Ontara had the biggest watershed moment where he went from being in his shell the entire time we've seen him on the Rift, apart from a couple of good Gnar games, to actually winning on a second champion's effective champion pool. Doubled Atlas to 2 with the Jax top lane. First time we've seen that this season. Let's see who does pick up the MVP. A lot of arguments. Who's it gonna be? It's gonna be Bang.
8-0-6. It's hard to go past the guy on the bottom side for SKT. Bang playing brilliantly. The Fates call well-timed, making sure that Wolf had all of the power that he wanted, and then able to skip around and pick up all of those kills.
Look at this. He joins a big group of players at 400 points. They're on the list. You have to trust us. Love the flash over the grand entrance here. That was the Bang swagger that we haven't seen this season, apart from some great Ezreal late game plays. This is laning phase Bang and Wolf. Never really been a big strength for them in recent years. We have to think back to 2016, 2015 for them to be styling. But SKT as a team styled on ROX Tigers. Looking to go 4 match wins in a row to halt the 3-match win streak of ROX. And on the first assignment, big chance that will happen because it was a great game 1 from SKT.
Yeah, we'll see whether there are going to be any changes here for the ROX Tigers as we move into game number 2. But the highlight clips just keep on going. The Emperor's Divide wasn't spoken about enough here, just denied any sort of re-engage from ROX, and then Wolf exactly where he needs to be. Still has the flash at this stage as everyone comically bounces around the blast cone.
ROX had a couple of identity problems here where they didn't build QSS, suggesting they wanted to 1-3-1, then fell so far behind that they felt pressured to not build the QSS to have enough damage to win from a gold deficit, and then they just didn't have QSS, so they ended up getting picked again and again. Skarner was able to get into too many fights, you'd have to say, and everyone was an initiator on the side of SKT. Look, Ontara initiated with his face, but it was enough. They still won the fight. So congratulations, SKT, and also to Bang, who is showing us something on a second champion. Now he's getting into form. Now Ontara's getting into form. Suddenly, SKT are a fearsome prospect for any team in the league to face.
Yeah, this is now SKT making their way back into power. See whether the streak can continue. It'll make it 4 matches in a row.
Ooh, I see someone on the ROX side there we haven't seen in a while. Player change, I believe, on the ROX side. Okay, this is one I wasn't expecting. So Songwon is out.
Okay.
Mighty Bear gets his second game. Only 1 game of Zac so far this season. And look at this. The man people have called for. The big all-season acquisition that's only played a single game himself. Kuzan's back. previously of Jinair, one of our top 5 mid laners for a large portion of the last few years. Hasn't really got a look in, just been playing in solo queue. So a new look to the ROX Tigers for the first time in a while. The seems good effect in all of their cheerfuls.
Yeah, and unfortunately for ROX, Kuzan played once, and it was a very unfortunate Azir game. So now a lot to prove as he goes up against probably the biggest rival you can possibly face off against in lane in League of Legends. This is a really tough call for Kuzan up against Faker.
He's faced him many times before, so fun to see Kuzan versus Faker once more. Will we see the Vladimir or the LeBlanc, the old Kuzan specials? Will it just be an Azir game? The series has already been weird and wonderful. How about another Atlas?
Yeah, and how much does the draft change as we are into Champion Select? I'm extremely excited, Pop Smithy, but I always am because there's League of Legends to be commentated and to watch. Is Kalista going to be banned away? It's actually SKT giving a lot of respect to that one. Sungyun has been playing a lot off the champion, though, and certainly does look good.
You should make those business cards, say professional caster, or perhaps, in brackets, the professional excitable yelly man.
Excitable yelly man, yep. That's a hard one to say, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
Excitable yelly man.
We'll
workshop that one as we see what ROX Tigers are workshopping in terms of bans on the red side. So far, there's Zoe going to be answered. Will we see that Galio ban? Are they happy to go see SKT go back into some Galio stuff?
Yeah, Galio's been switching around as, you know, first pickable on the blue side, and then there were answers for it, and now sort of moving back into priority is the Skarner. Actually a lot of respect from SKT. They're looking for a specific first pick here.
So blue side Skarner ban, like you say, will be a surprise given that Blossom just played it. But if you look at Mighty Bear's solo queue and had a chance to, during the break, 18 games of Skarner in the last 7 days. So he and most junglers here jumping on the Skarner hype train's going to be banned away.
Galio going to be banned here as well. So the last ban for ROX could be the important one as we go down the line. SKT, will it be another high priority pick? Or will it be something a little bit more targeted?
The mid lane champion pool more open than it has been in the previous game so far. See how narrow it gets. Still the likes of Rise to respect the Azir that we just saw Faker have a great performance on. Gangplank hitting the bench a lot more this week after being left open. Match 8.4 might actually decrease the priority on Gangplank to only the old counter lanes like Shen, for example, rather than first pick status, but 8.3. Still the Pirate going to be very, very powerful. So a lot left open now when it comes to the draft.
Does the Gnar get the respect again?
Not
No,
this
it
time.
doesn't. The Rise is going to be taken away. Faker, of course, one of his most impressive champions.
We would expect ROX to first round the Gnar. SKT do as well, but they're happy to reach for the Ezreal. If you're an EU LCS fan, you might be surprised to see this, but Ezreal is the super pick here in Korea. So much versatility, so safe to allow your support to roam. So a big favorite, and the 2-item power spike we always talk about is big, but potentially the cost is quite high. Sejuani was left available. Azir is available, and there's a Kuzan special as well. We'll see what ROX Tigers want to prioritize. So far, the Sejuani from Mighty Bear.
Yeah. Okay, so what is it going to be? Is it going to be that mid lane, or do they grab themselves an AD carry here potentially? Probably not, because they don't really have much pressure. Can grab that one third round if they want to.
You probably take it at the Kuzan pick there. Maybe a Varus, for example, will be considered for the side of Sangyun, but they actually want more information about SKT, so they will commit to AD carry. Now it's the Caitlyn, which has been rising a bit. Deft has had a couple of MVP performances on that recently, so lane priority is the take, but wouldn't be any surprise to see the Azir just taken away here. Will Kuzan play the LeBlanc into it? That'd be fun. The Talia also would be one he would consider here.
Remember the Echo not banned just yet as well. Papa Smithy, has Kuzan been playing it?
It's not lava, surely not.
I know. But here's like an absolute favorite as far as sort of 3 carries in this game are concerned. SKT locking in the Gnar. Pairing that with the Azir is something that we've seen so many times this season.
If you want Camille, you probably have to take it now. And on command, looks like they will lock in the Camille. No flex pick, it will be into the Gnar. Something they've had success with in the past. Not in game 1, but this time, Jack's going to be coming through in the top lane for SKT.
Not going to be counted out necessarily.
So far, it's like for like. Comes to picks that's taken so far, so no mid lane though. So mid lane is the unique one that we have to talk about here. I wonder what ROX Tigers will make of this. I feel like SKT might start banning away standard stuff, but then there's the Kuzan effect, where the Vladimir, the LeBlanc always have to be considered in and out of meta.
Now Kha'Zix's going to be the ban though, as Blossom is going to be focused. He was hovering himself some Rengar earlier on, but probably just a little bit of trolling, as he did end up locking away the Azir for Faker.
Well,
Kassadin going to be taken.
He was known as a Rengar Kha'Zix 2-trick in solo queue, so the Kha'Zix will be banned away.
Trying to complete the quest against himself. I like it.
Surprised to see Faker actually have the Kassadin banned away. Now, of course, in the reverse matchup, Faker taking Kassadin into Azir will be no surprise, but I feel like after how they lost game 1, Kuzan will want a bit more lane presence than the Corki, for example, had, and Kassadin would be the same, at least in the early game. Double jungle bans go out against Blossom.
Yep, Jarvan going to hit the bench. Now SKT, do they continue the focus on the mid lane? Echo certainly could be a thing, because Faker didn't like that one into it, but no, the respect for Kuzan.
I think you take Talia here if you're ROX Tigers, because you have the Caitlyn already. Camille can also have presence on the Gnar, and then you could use the Weaver's Wall in the same way that Jinair was doing to try to create some lose-lose situations, take structures. I'd personally like to see the Talia, but this would actually be a flex pick Karma, an old favorite of Kuzan, but similar to the Talia in terms of looking for lane priority. I think priority mid lane is what they want, and now SKT have to deal with potentially this big nope button in the mid lane that pushes and also allows for the team-wide movement speed.
And also the big nope as far as the bottom lane is concerned as well. Ultimate wave clear and harass potential. Karma Caitlyn has always been something to fear.
What about the Jax jungle that ends up being the Zac for even more long-range engage?
A lot of late-game power as well, Papa.
They certainly do. Azir can shoulder most of the damage, but of course, Ezreal no slouch either in the late game. Looking for the support pick, potentially against a Karma. So some melee supports, of course, cringe at the thought of even facing a Karma in lane. It's a lot harder to pull them off, but Braum does have the Unbreakable to help the lane. SKT says, I know your game, Kuzan. It's going to be mid lane Karma.
Okay.
And it seems like they're right.
Shen being considered for that support position. Braum, of course, is still an option, so that should be fine at the same time. See where ROX decide to go. They're looking for as much lane power as possible by the looks of things based on these hovers by
Thresh
Key.
has the interrupt on the Zac, so that's the reason why it's prioritized, and also Key. You know he can be a big playmaker up on the Thresh earlier this week. Here are the final drafts, and on the side of SKT, two threats, but two big threats, with Faker and Bang rolling around. Blossom has had a fun time on the Zac previously, whereas ROX Tigers Kuzan comes in, and of course, it has to be a Kuzan champion. Marin in the LPL, instant top lane cannon with Ignite. Kuzan comes on the Rift. You knew it was going to be Vladimir LeBlanc or something like the Karma. Second Karma of the season, both by ROX Tigers, I believe.
Yeah, it was
Lava
that tried to bring that one out earlier on. Didn't actually find success on the champion, but certainly still happy to bring that one into the mid lane and does nullify a lot of lanes.
It does mean he can walk up and push, walk up and harass a Nazir in the early levels. Nazir nerfs means there might even be a little bit more to the side of the Karma in lane. Doesn't have a Kha'Zix in the jungle to potentially invade, but Sejuani can also get on the front foot. So they wanted something that could push and roam. I thought the Taliyah, the Karma, a more Kuzan choice. Be fun to track as Untara. He's still an effective champion. It's not the Jax this time, but the Gnar has also brought a lot of success the way of SKT.
Yeah, and his champion that he's played more than once, the only one that he has in his repertoire for 2018. 5 games so far, 9.0 KDA, something like that, on the Gnar. Really feeling good. Let's talk about KDAs. There's Bang, ready to continue boosting that particular stat. Didn't die in the last game, so certainly able to push that one forward.
It's double range this time, though. Caitlyn and Thresh can have a lot of power in lane. It's going to be a fun one. Game 1, a blowout by SKT1. Game 2, we're going to find out.
Yeah, a lot more focus on the bottom side of the map for the ROX Tigers. Is that going to be enough to push them over line? We'll see as we enter Summoner's Rift for Game 2. And the crowd explodes. SKT fans everywhere.
Yeah, infiltrating even the ROX side of the booth.
Yeah.
There's a couple of
Overflowing,
fakers.
I'd say. Is that old man Faker, apparently?
Doing their best impression. They found a ROX fan. Good job.
Yeah, there we go.
Cameraman.
Nicely done. You can see he's surrounded by SKT fans. A little bit unfair.
Faker enjoyed the level 1 Mantra Q action. We'll just go back to heal up. Not expecting a invade to come through from ROX, but they do have invading tools. Kuzan jumping back on the Karma. Blast from the past. ROX Tigers, as we mentioned, only team to play a mid lane Karma this season.
Yeah, opting for Summoner Airy. Those playing at home, Sorcery Tree. Slightly inspired on the edge, as Kuzan just wanting to push this wave as quickly as possible.
I think both bot lanes want to rush bot lane, but even more so SKT to meet the wave, because you look at the lanes and you think, okay, Karma priority on Azir expected. Why not? Why play Karma if you're not going to be able to push lane?
Yep.
The Camille can have great aggressive options against the Gnar if he's able to play with knowledge of where the enemy jungler is, and Caitlyn Thresh is double ranged against Ezreal. So it could be 3 winning lanes against a Zac jungle, and Zac, of course, under pressure, being held accountable by the Sejuani, or even being drawn to lanes to gank pre-level 4 or level 6. There is the potential for ROX Tigers to have a big advantage in the early game. So laning phase should be very comfortable for the side of ROX, and then they can rotate into a 4-1 split push with the strong siege that Karma and Caitlyn can safely provide. So winning lane into winning game is kind of the approach ROX are looking for here. SKT, very balanced teamfight comp that can take over the game if they get a vision advantage. Probably going to have to be later, just given how powerful the lane choices were from ROX.
Yeah, I absolutely love the safety that you mentioned there as well, based on that 4 that you will have available to you. The Mantrid Inspire coming in for the extra movement speed for everyone, and
yeah,
then the
Thresh and
Lantern
Karma
available. Exactly.
Thresh
like,
and Karma is it's also the worst nightmare for the Zac, who has movement speed and, oh, reset there.
Yeah.
So Mighty Bear coming in.
Mighty Bear, yeah, he's going to do a lot of damage. Blossom, Elastic Slingshot gets him out of the way, but means he won't be able to contest this Gromp. Mighty Bear's looking just to permafrost that one away. No, isn't going to happen. Yeah.
He does smite it, buying time for Faker to potentially rotate, but it's mid lane Karma. You wouldn't draft this if it wasn't pushing in face of the Azir. So as you can see, the losing lanes are being played around by Mighty Bear. Great aggression from him so far, as Kuzan will rotate first. This will always happen in Azir versus Karma. Going back onto Blossom. There's E is down again. SKT should give this one up. This is the cost of the draft they went for. ROX Tigers, to the nth degree, went early game in a meta where everyone's been going late game, Atlas. Where's the Gangplank? Where's the big, strong late game carries over any sort of early game oomph? ROX Tigers bring it around, and oh boy, a blue buff
so
3 minutes into the game for the Karma. Enjoy that one, Faker.
Yeah. Well, at least he's going to be able to shove the wave in. Faker, see where he actually heads off to. Looks like he just wants to get some vision down here for his team. Does so. Gets rid of a Blast Cone. Says, you take the blue buff? Well, I'll take your Blast Cone. How do you feel about that? ROX Tigers probably saying, we feel okay. Not a massive lead in the mid lane just yet, but Kuzan will be able to grab all of that. Mana back and continue shoving this one forward. It's all about the pressure. The thing I do like, though, from ROX Tigers is that they can turn this into a really great get-behind the Caitlyn composition in the late game if they make it there as well. Will involve Sangyun being ahead in this lane if he can get there. So far, not being the case. Bang is just chowing through these snacks that he's picked up from his Kleptomancy. Big kind pot of gold coming in.
Kind of only Caitlyn for damage and let them go. Karma, of course, gets blocked in terms of Q damage by a front line, and then Camille will get disengaged by largely Faker, for example. So diving into it Azir in the late game never sounds like too much fun. So early mid game is definitely where we're looking for ROX Tigers to overtake. They've got that, and this is probably the sort of game where you might look at farm numbers and say, okay, they said Caitlyn Thresh win, but I see Ezreal potentially with a CS advantage right now, but even as the lane goes on, the CS numbers might not be massively different. I think you have to judge ROX by how early the turrets go down and turret health rather than farm, because to me, the priority should be getting the 4-1 happening as early as possible.
Yeah, and it's also, you know, as far as an Ezreal matchup is concerned, his starting off situation is actually great, but he has to build a tier. So, of course, that's 700 gold that's not going into any damage stats. So it's after the first back that Sangyun will be able to get all of that control. Faker navigating this lane quite nicely, getting out of the way.
He's 5 CS behind a blue buff already first shop Karma. So you're definitely giving him the pass marks for that one.
With the minion dematerializer as well, trying to shove back as best he can on the Azir. Blossom turns up. Linderung, though, will be able to get vision down. Doesn't get a glimpse of the blob, so Blossom still unknown as far as his positioning, I believe. 2
wards on the bot side by ROX Tigers in the red side jungle. Lets them know that those camps were cleared. Don't have timers on them until they respawn, but they're about finding out where Zac is on, and the top side would probably be the read based on vision. One of the things that Riot's looking to do with the removal of Tracker's Knife is to decrease the amount of vision on camps to stop this from being the reality. Is aggressive hook shot, but it's going to be a winning damage trade for Linderung. Untara wanted him to stop the freeze, but I think Linderung's going to try and keep the freeze up as much as possible.
Wow, Keegan, a little bit of walkabout here as he heads towards the top side of the map. Doesn't have a spellbook or anything like that, so no teleports to get him back to the bottom side, but just really wants to try and find someone.
He's got those boots made for roaming, Atlas.
Yeah.
That's all he needs.
Also, it was Sangyun getting back to lane as the SKT bottom lane were backing as well. So, of course, Key with a few moments spare. Just trying to get himself around.
Double tier bot lane for SKT.
Oh,
2015 analysis. So much to talk about.
The most fun first back buy situation.
They're not getting much immediate combat stats from their first 1,500 gold, are they, Atlas?
No, not very much at all, Pub Smithy. Thank you for bringing that one up.
Oh, Tier. Tier actually, the funny thing is that Tier for Taric actually gives him insane lane presence because he can just walk up and be the melee range Soraka, auto-attack heal, auto-attack heal, so he's actually only gated by mana in becoming oppressive in terms of healing. We never talked about Taric's heal until the Tier build came out, and now it's all we talk about because it makes him really obnoxious.
Yeah, very frustrating. Seen so many of those team fights that have turned into a tank plus Taric versus 1 or 2 people, and then the tank never dies ever.
Nope.
It's very, very sad. That happens way too much, by the way. It'll probably happen this game. It'll be Blossom and Wolf fighting the whole team.
Okay, it probably has to be Antara. Blossom does exactly no damage.
But that'd be the more funny one. That's true. SKT, though, will have to deal with this so many times. Farming under turret will be tested.
Again, we're talking about turret HP as the gauge of how the lanes are going for ROX. They do have early priority in every lane. Minion Dematerializer be damned as Faker uses his last charge. Actually, that was Kuzan. I apologize.
Kuzan utilizing that one. Still has one more to go as Blossom.
Push.
Pass by as in goes Mighty Bear. Immediate cleanse. Faker not even wanting to go for a 2v2.
I mean, given that Blossom was next to him, getting a cleanse out was actually the best case scenario for Mighty Bear. So hit the ult, got the cleanse. That'll be something they can return to.
Didn't invest the flash or anything like that, so just needs to wait for that Glacial Prison to come back up again. Harold not quite here just yet, as Linderong's just going to clear out vision, and Blossom just in a little bit of a mobile ward at the moment.
I'm so excited about having double Dorans in lanes and actually people building things that aren't gold generation. So exciting. Come on, guys. It's been a hard couple of weeks here. Give this to me.
I understand, Bub. I was just going to leave it. Just let it hang in the air for a bit, because if that's what you're excited about, honestly, it's a bit depressing.
Hey, you got to take your wins where you can get them, Atlas. You know this.
Oh, I know. Don't you worry. I'm an expert at that particular scenario.
Push. Ultimate going to be used basically off cooldown by Bang to stop the turret from going down. Nice trade here from Antara.
Yeah, big Gnar to come in. Linderong actually using the hookshot to get away from this scary dinosaur monster man. And he might actually, if like there's a auto attack into Hyperproc, Linderong is very close to being dead. The Summoner Aerie comes back in, but no, not going to try and go for anything underneath the turret. Frightened of getting good positioning on something like the Hextech Ultimatum.
This is a winning early game for SKT. Again, we talked about how the draft was constructed by ROX to win early to mid-game, for turrets to go down, start getting the Caitlyn going. Now, doing that very, very early before you have items, you can't just walk up and kill people, so it does take time, but the longer the game goes with the turrets up as we crest the 10-minute mark, the happier SK Telecom are going to be. They have outscale in team fights, so team fight phase is something they're comfortable with. So for now, with no kills, no interaction, we may not be getting the bloody game one, but we're getting a good early game for SKT.
Yeah. SKT also just playing defensively as well. You can see by their control wards all in their own jungle, one in that little pixel brush in the river on top side, but you can see bottom side is where they're really focusing as far as keeping Blossom and keeping Bang & Wolf alive, as they just try and hold on and get to a point where they basically can't lose a team fight against this team that just will be lacking damage in the late game.
Feels like 3 items onwards. Things are pretty bad news for ROX. But in the early game, first couple of items, and just given the natural champion break points, they will feel good. Looking for that invade again, though, this time on to Blossom and Faker.
Kuzan isn't able to steal too much popcorn chicken away, as there's the elastic slingshot, not going to go in for any kidnap. Blossom just going to wander away, and understanding that the ROX bottom lane is missing, they're not going to bite off more than they can chew.
A lot of mobility with a Thresh, and he has boots of mobility already to get the first rotation. SKT will contest until they get the information, the missing call, and then back away, losing the minimum, as we always talk about. We get the zoom out, because a lot of ROX members are here.
And just looking to go for that first turret. True Shot Barrage will be able to clear out some of the minions here as the Dazzle gets rid of the rest.
All about SKT delaying what is an inevitability based on the draft. 11 minutes into the game, turret down to just under a third health, but can't just stay in the area forever. You'd lose too much lane CS in mid, so they back away. The next return, we're probably going to do it, though.
Yeah, and this is exactly what ROX wanted to do. They've reclaimed control of the bottom side of the map. That cheeky control ward very, very deep into the bottom side means that ROX should understand when they can put the pressure on that bottom side and actually try and push down one of these turrets. That's what opens the doors. In goes Blossom. Kuzan just going to take a different way out, but you've got a cheeky little Gnar coming in from the top side. Great timing on the Mega Gnar there as well as he flashes after Kuzan. That was weird. The wallop does come in though, and Faker should be able to get the switcheroo. Around. That's a cute W coming out from Kuzan. The Inspire's there, but the slow comes in from the Conquering Sands, and first blood goes to Faker on the Azir.
That should have been quicker, so in the time it took for them to kill, they get the push down bot lane. Probably the next wave, they'll take the turret. They do get the kill there, so congrats to SKT on that. Kuzan dead to rights. He probably had to flash the first boulder Because when he was slowed, he was done for. Didn't have the full information, didn't know the top lane had abandoned him. With the Dazzle, they're able to push up here and keep delaying.
Well, Cosmic Radiance comes in. Wolf looking to try and go for the turnaround. The tower still stays alive as Faker is just going to opt out. They understand that this tower will probably fall down next time there are any minions near it. Because that's on, like, what, 8 health? Something like that, something silly. Blossom turns up, doesn't exactly find anything there.
He was just
isn't exactly enough.
He spent the whole time camping the bush to allow for the free push and try to get equal turret damage on the top side to equalize out what is very low health turret on the bot side for SKT. And it's all about delay. It's still the standing goal. There's still inevitability, but buying time. Faker to finish his first item. Look at this. Very interesting first purchase coming through from Bang. Just straight up watches a Trinity Force. Wants as much power early, because this game will be decided early. This is what you do when you realize you don't have the latitude to get your items at the normal pace. They need it faster, so he just straight up buys a Trinity Force to try to battle early.
Yeah, give me an early power spike. And Trinity Force is probably one of the best one-item spikes that you'll ever get to in the game.
I mean, National Tooth is here, and Trinity Force on Ezreal. Again, just because ROX Tigers are going to be more looking for the 4-man pushing rather than the 4-man fighting. It is as much as they can buy. It's the most adaptation you can give. ROX Tigers don't want a true fight, and they have insane disengage, so they don't want to opt into a fight, but who knows? Maybe there'll be another hard contest for this last bit of damage on the outer turret. It's literally on, like, 50 health.
Yep, Trisha Barrage, though, is going to mean that these minions aren't going to make it. Sangyun probably just needs to tank one of these turret shots and you can probably kill it. It's not going to be on very much health at all, but Tara starting to go for some dirty farming here as the minions are going to get cleared out by the turret. He's just organically got control over this lane.
All right, Linderung backs, has teleport in a second, could consider TPing bot side. Sejuani's in the lane, but they don't have enough information to know they can walk up. The turret will still stay up, and there's an outside chance that despite all the early damage, SKT can find a way to get the first blood turret in the top side.
Yeah. In the end, Tara's going to head home, so maybe not actually prioritizing it, understanding that ROX should be able to just force it. Yeah.
They just don't feel safe enough. They know that Zac is bot sides. They again pull out.
Red buff laning phase Trinity Force Ezreal is not something that you really want to
over-index
with, on. It's very scary as, ROX Tigers is just going to get the hell out of there.
This turret, 52 health is more than 0, so it means the damage has never come in.
Well, it's the ultimate. Glacial Prison comes in, but another cleanse from Faker gets him out of there. Cosmic Radiance comes down onto 3 as the kidnap. It's just going to be a gap close for Blossom. That's an odd maneuver, but that's going to get them the first kill. Kuzan's going to go down as the second one for SKT comes in. Sangyun's going to go down as well. Don't need the armor from an Iceborne Gauntlet if you've just got a Trinity Force for the damage. And Faker going aggressive once again, doesn't get the dazzle. Wolf just not quite on the right trajectory with that one, but 3-0 now as SKT dominating the early game against ROX, who built for it.
And when the objective is super low, it can be a bait for both sides. You have to always remember. We, of course, think back to Huni getting chain ganked with a low health turret in the top side, and the finalist, it's done on to Faker.
Yep, Hook's going to land. No cleanse this time as the ultimatum comes down, making sure that the Azir is isolated. Blossom not going to connect any goo to anyone else.
It's just a kill.
That was rude.
It's just a kill. Faker knows it's only a single kill. All the objectives, the game plan from ROX, like you mentioned, is to battle early. They haven't been able to do so. We watched the replay here. The Cosmic Radiance does arm onto the Zac, who ends up, like you say, using the ult as a gap close. Kuzan caught without flash a second time, so he's just to die. Linderung teleported very, very deep as Bang with the Trinity Force feels confident enough to go for a turret dive. But the bot lane turret being low ended up being a bait for ROX. They give up immediate gold, but they will take mid lane turret. Somehow mid lane turret, the first turret to go down.
Yeah. Of course, putting in a lot of effort to the bottom sound. Oh, are they going to be capable of 52 damage? Thankfully, the Dazzle gets the stun. They're saving at 16 health on the outer turret on the bottom side. And SKT are going to maintain the gold lead. What the hell is that?
I feel like we just need to, OGN, to pull up the stat.
Oh, that was sick.
Longest amount of time that a turret's lived below 50 HP is top side.
Yeah, Tara's so far actually not going to find him as he goes back in a minute now. The flash actually does come in as Kuzan now trying to get his way around, and Tara's just unlockdownable.
Probably.
Well, he is able to use the hook shot to get him his way out, but Blossom's going to be able to close a lot of distance. No knock-up is going to come down
They
as he
really
flashes
want
forward,
this?
wants to bonk their heads. There's the Emperor's Divide, smashes them into the wall as Faker is angry at that last kill.
That's just tanking the turret.
Yeah, Mighty Bear's going to go down. Double kill now for the Emperor of Shurima. Can they make it a triple? No, they can't, because Antara is going to take that one away, but still 3 kills. That's a turret as well, and SKT 6-1 at 18 minutes into the game.
And SKT are the enemy turret whisperers. They're always under them looking for these aggressive moves. They're not to die. Just a hook coming in the bot side, but multiple kills piled on for SKT. Get some damage onto the inner turret, why don't you? Against the early 3 winning lanes ROX Tigers. This game plan's gone to hell, Atlas, and SKT, they're just having a fun one.
Yep, they're just having a great time. We've almost got potentially the Leandri's Torment coming in second item for Faker. Remember, it was a Banshee's Veil second that happened in game number 1. Much quicker game this time, wants to get that burning face as quickly as possible. And let's have a look at the fancy moves that came out of Antara to get him away from this game.
He didn't take the first CC, and then Mighty Bear has to flash and doesn't even get the interrupt on the hop. Antara still has flash to turn around. Then Linderung to me is dead because I know that both members of SKT are coming. The slow start, they try to interrupt, but Blossom, he loves turret dives. He feels comfortable playing it as much as solo queue as possible, goes under the enemy turret. Faker is a turret diver these days. SKT
actually just smushed him in the wall.
They're an aggressive team. Blossom tanks up the turret, deleashes, but he has Antara to tank it up. Too easy for the side of SKT. Calculate, they take 2 turrets after the 3 kills. Thank you very much. And suddenly, the gold lead's looking pretty comfortable, Atlas.
Yeah, that is over 4,000 more. 5,000 gold as SKT taken 2 turrets in the space of not very long at all. Shelly will bite the dust at the same time. Very close to Baron turning up instead, but Blossom will be able to throw down that Rift Herald whenever he wants, and it looks like mid lane will be the option. Definitely not top, because Shelly's got a long way to run up there, having the inner turret already fallen. Just the map seems to be blown wide open on the top side, and Antara was already having a great time up against Linderung.
And now we get into real terror situations that end up taking
done.
19 minutes 48 for that turret to go down. It was going to go down 11 minutes, if you guys remember.
Yep.
But now we're hitting the points where you look at Faker's items, and if you're ROX Tigers, you wince. He's ready. He's locked and loaded.
Oh, yeah.
Way, way earlier than expected. Picking up 2 items and the sorcery boots. So he's team fight ready. They already didn't want a team fight, and now Zach can just make them team fight. Zach's got his Warmogs. All the item spikes better for the scaling team against the early team.
Yeah, and Bang, it's been a long time since he's gone back to base as well. He'll be able to pick up his Manamune that might even be a mirror mana at this stage. See what it's actually going to transform into as he completes it right about now. Nope, not going to get that transform just yet. QSS comes in as well. And this is the item spike that we were actually talking about in the last game as far as 2 items, and a QSS comes true as Kuzan
hasn't died
is
in a
having
while.
a lot of trouble. Just gets kidnapped and will be destroyed. Faker, Conquering Sands are going to do exactly that.
Rift Herald going to be used very, very aggressively. Kuzan 0-4. The Kuzan fans probably not going to see him for a little while.
Oh, it's just so depressing because we saw Kuzan do so much work for Jin Air last year. It just seems to have come into a ROX Tigers whenever they're drafting really weird stuff that hasn't necessarily worked out. Because I don't feel like this was necessarily Kuzan's fault, how this game has gone.
I mean, the first death was avoidable. Everything afterwards, like you say, was just some heavy snowball, but SKT insanely far ahead. With the scaling, I'd call this a 10,000 gold lead, even though it reads 5,700. ROX Tigers don't have core items. Cheaper build for Kuzan on the Karma, but only an Athene's and a needlessly large rod to his name. No second item yet for the Caitlyn. Outclassed in Game 2, outclassed in Game 1 as SKT looking to go 5-5. Looking to go, I believe, positive win rate now after this particular series. In terms of games, they'll be 5-5. In terms of game score, they start the Baron. Key's around to check it.
Interesting thing is that if they do manage to pick up this victory, which is looking extraordinarily likely, they will actually be even as far as match score.
Keep the Baron leashed. The Baron is still leashed. Oh, okay, starts healing.
Yeah, Sungyun. Stop shooting that one as Tara continuing to put the pressure on. This is what happens. This is exactly what ROX didn't want because the Camille was supposed to be winning this split push.
I mean, the supposed to stack up quite a lot at this point.
There's a lot of them. Yeah, exactly.
This is definitely the on-paper draft being thrown out and rubbished by SKT, saying, well, I don't know what you guys were thinking, but everything we expected about the game. Expectations for SKT. What a weird season where your expectations were high. They lost 5 series in a row. finally you thought, okay, maybe they're mortal. And now the expectations once again flipped, where they may be our best performing team at the moment when we've had Kingzone and Afrika both down in recent days.
Yeah, KT wasn't looking good. I'd probably agree with you.
I think KT Rolster's probably the best team here, but that's
scary
kind of the
thing
weird
to
thing to
say.
say with,
Yeah.
with Kingzone struggling. So I definitely wouldn't rank SKT top 2 or top 3 yet, but with how they're playing, you have to always wonder how many more wins in a row before you start again ranking SKT with the other big teams in Korea.
Yeah, next Telecom War is going to be extraordinarily exciting, guys. So make sure you're waiting around for that one. Bang, misses a Q, but does get it. There we go. Arcane Shift. That's
Muramana transformation. Everything's transformed. Kuzan's got a death cap, but it's
Faker
the old
just
death
built
cap.
a Void Staff out of nothing. After, like, he built Leandri's 4 minutes ago. He's got a lot of money. He's doing pretty damn well on this Azir. 3-item spike is brilliant. And if you're ROX, you just can't fight them. And
Nope,
SKT
and
will
they
be
get
able to
two-man
take a
Baron.
2-man Baron, yeah.
Zir does insane damage, but Mighty Bear's around, so for now they don't control the red side jungle.
Tara gets angry at the ground. Linderung is going to get himself into a position where he can teleport if he wants to. Mighty Bear taking some damage. Aftershock finds nothing. Also feels a little bit bad now. Current iteration, but that's okay.
Not a big fan of death cap second when you're behind on Karma. Strikes me as a build that doesn't really do anything.
Apart from have bigger shields for the rest of your team, I don't mind that aspect of it. Just get more AP so that you can augment the rest of your team a bit more. But Ultimatum comes down. They're looking to try and grab this pick onto Antara, who turns Mega at the right time. Has to flash, and Linderung's going to be able to follow Boulder Toss. Linderung is going to be able to pick that one up. So I thought that almost Antara would be able to make something happen, but no, not quite enough. That means the Baron goes over to SKT. Too much of an investment as the teleport's going to come down. Yeah, SKT probably don't want to fight this one. They may need to sacrifice Blossom. Throws down the Kidnap. Cosmic Radiance comes in as well as they lower the Sunnies. SKT are going to successfully disengage to many low health targets.
They still, for now, are being zoned from their base, but Linderung ends the ruse with Key, as you say, chunked out, and Mighty Bear chunked out. But we'll not see ROX Tigers denying the recalls. SKT with Bang in the enemy jungle. He's just happy doing that.
They've got so many control wards. He knows that no one can see him, and they can just steal away whatever he wants. Having a great time. Top lane, can grab that farm if he feels like it. Looks like we've got Antara going for the Frozen Mallet into Guardian Angel.
Faker has the I'm ready to pentakill with this many items at 25 minutes thing going on.
It's a big old collection. I think that's the Fiendish Codex is actually a manual on how to use all of the dang items that he's got. How are you supposed to remember?
He doesn't
how to use
need
all
no
those things?
books, Atlas. Come on, it's Faker.
He buys books all the time.
It's true.
Though.
We know he's a bridge constructor.
Oh, that's true.
I do love when Twitch chat calls it the main game. Poly Bridge.
Hey, that's part of the reason why I watch his stream so much is that you can either get League of Legends for the sick Faker action or Polybridge
For the sick
for
Faker
like,
action.
The amazing Faker action, exactly. I was almost a civil engineer, Papa Smithy. I'm very, very excited about bridges.
Old SKT would have sent someone top lane, but new SKT likes turret diving, so 2 lanes is enough to be pushing. Maybe we'll still see Faker look for an initiation play of his own. Pushing up with Baron buff. Goodbye, bot lane out of turret. They don't really want to use Demolish proc on it. Save that for the inhibitor turret. Looking to break the base on their first Baron.
Yeah, Blossom is vocals certainly pretty resounding at the moment. He's going to say woohoo once again and try and jump into this backline. Instead, just going to cancel. Not a lot of minions remain as Linderung trying his best to be a split pusher.
Trap line also will disrupt some of the advance.
Well, not if Antara has anything to say about it. Just wanders underneath that turret. Demolish proc will go off, but
there's no teleport on Linderung, so why would they stop pushing?
No, they're trading the inhibitor and inhibitor turret for an outer turret on top lane. Perfect. Feeling great about that.
That's why they're going to keep
going.
going.
Desperation, right?
Bang just Arcane shifts forward. Speaking of going forward.
Yeah, Blossom underneath 2 Nexus turrets right now as Wolf's trying to keep him alive. The Kidnap comes through. He does have the passive, remember, and actually goes golden. Stopwatch still hadn't been used as there's the Cosmic Radiance, but passive is going to go off in the end. Teleport comes down from Antara as everyone's back in base for the ROX Tigers. It is going to be an actual 5v5 as 1 more Nexus turret remains.
Closed it here, but like you say, the minion wave is still pretty far away. Can they get this turret? Right, first instinct is no, but you never know with SKT in this form.
Yep, Arcane Shift gets Bang out of the way, but he's playing so far forward.
Finally, the minion waves in mid catch up.
Yeah, they'll just take an afterthought inhibitor See whether they continue. Remember, double Mountain Drake means that they just do so much damage to these structures. They already did because of all the items, but it's only added insult to injury. Zara back to Mininar, so continuing the harassment, but this pressure is just so much for the ROX Tigers. Only another 13 seconds of Baron. This Mighty Bear gets pulled back. Linderung, half health. Kuzan's trying to stay safe in the backline. Sangyun in a whole lot of trouble. Blossom goes forward, going to attach some arms to people. The head bonk comes in, and that's going to be a dead Caitlyn. ROX Tigers surrounded by minions, surrounded by SKT members, and that is one of the most convincing 2-0s we've seen since Kingzone were demolishing people.
ROX Tigers put to the sword by SK Telecom T1. Both entered on a 3-match win streak. Only SKT exits 4-0. Big win for them, and people will say SKT are back. I may not be ready to say those exact words, but it feels close, Atlas. Ominous is the form of SK Telecom T1, and it just makes you so excited to see who they face next.
Yeah.
I haven't looked at next week's schedule yet, and I just want to know who SKT is facing after this match, because the tougher the assignment, the more certain we will be on whether SK Telecom can once again be counted among the top 3 in Korea.
Yeah, and after we saw ROX rip through Jin Air, I mean, it was a 2-1, but then the incredibly impressive 2-0 against a struggling MVP, we were ready to start toting these guys as one of the teams that are making their way up towards the top spots. But honestly, SKT just looking like they're making their way back in and making ROX Tigers seem like 2017 ROX Tigers.
2015, 2016 story comes back. Death, taxes, and SKT beating the ROX Tigers was always the story in the past, and it's so many hopes for ROX until they finally won summer 2016 by beating KT Rolston, not SKT, in the final. SKT still do not look like the job is done. They are not smiling. They are not celebrating. This is just another win for them. And that's a good sign, Atlas, because there's still plenty of season for them to play.
Yeah, it's not about celebration just yet. You've really got to start backing this one up. And what would playoffs be without SKT? I don't know. It's a very confusing prospect for me to get my head around, because when you don't send SKT to an international event, you think something must have gone horribly wrong.
They are not favorites for MSI, but they are looking to make it back into the playoff race, and I believe now they will be 5th place. 5-5 for both ROX Tigers and SKT. Not sure where the game score is at, but certainly it'll be right there in terms of match score. We'll get the confirmation when we draw it up in the end. A 2-0 victory over ROX Tigers, who, like you say, look a lot more mortal than their recent performances. SKT, no doubt, putting so much hope into their huge fan base's arms, as Faker, for a second Azir game in a row, piles on the damage.
Yeah, just ridiculous amounts of damage from the Azir, if you actually counted both of the games. Of course, massively out in front in game number 1 as well, despite Bang picking up that MVP for some incredible 8-0-6 Kalista performance. This is the SKT that we were expecting towards the start of the season, you know? Like, this is an SKT that we thought would probably begin their run like this, but no, hasn't been the case. Finally, picking up some semblance of consistency with 4 match wins in a row, and it's going to be Untara that grabs the MVP.
Very excited to have an interview with Untara after, of course, he was out of the lineup for so long. Like an MVP of the season, both of them on Gnar.
Yeah, turning up here at exactly the right time as well to lock down this first blood.
That was a roam from behind. Remember, he'd been losing the laning phase to Camille, but completes the roam. Kuzan holds onto his flash a bit too long, and then, unfortunately for him, came a bit of a whipping boy for SKT to cash in on time and time again. They leave the kill for Faker. Very apropos. This exit, though, was beautiful to see. Interruption with the Gnar. A hop over the Arctic Assault, if you don't mind. It's insane that he still has his flash to flash away from the second hook shot of the piece. Then came in the Cavalry, Blossom with the turret dive, and this cemented a large lead. Let's fast forward to the end.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't want to show you the other crap. How about this?
I think there was a bunch of extra highlights, guys. Take our word for it. But also the Nexus falling down for its sweet 2-0 for SKT. Feels fantastic as well. And now we get to have a chat to Untara and Bang after their MVP performances. And I'm really interested to hear exactly what they're going to have to say, because there has been a big change. So let's throw it over to Joel for some interview translation.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Joel?
Thank you very much, guys. So the interview translation for today, we're here with SK Telecom kind of looking like their old form that we are used to seeing as they pick up a 2-0 victory against their opponents. We're going to be here with their the MVPs for the interview. I didn't know that today was the beginning of the round 2, but it does feel good to get a win. And Tara, I'm sure this MVP and this win means a lot for you. Definitely means the world to me getting this win today. I think it was recently beyond the kind of the stress that I've been getting is I really did struggle to play the game a little more comfortably, and the struggle to do that kind of didn't allow me to play to my full potential. You are reaching the top KDA in the LCK right now. Do you feel like your revival into the LCK is coming? Yeah, people say that I'm a KDA player, and we did lose out the 5 games. But you know, it was never a situation where, even though my KD was alright, those 5 losses was the result of me not doing as well as the other AD carry. But I think it's something that we needed to repair on, and I'm glad we got the actual message across, and now that we did good enough and to get the win today. I'm sure you guys have preferences on how you guys want to play right now. Still, you know, being an ADC, I still prefer my KDA to be looking good. So those numbers, when it looks alright, I'm pretty happy with that. Huntara, what about you? You know, I have a lot of big interest in my damage charts after games, and just try to make sure I have the most damage dealt after games. We thought that game 1, the kind of the biggest point of interest was in the bot lane, when it really did pop off right there. Did you guys know that this was coming? Well, I'm sure they knew this was coming. I'm sure they planned it all along, and yeah, the game was really going even on both sides, and something needs to happen for the game to change. And I think I remember this happening to us when Deft and his friends did that to us, and we remember that memory quite well, and we tried to replicate it as much as we can. And because we had the weaker bot lane back then against KT, we tried to get a stronger bot lane to lane with, and we actually did a good job of replicating the instance over there. And of course, with the Camille coming up pretty confidently, you just could have went with a tank and try to have it safe, but you went very aggressive with your pick. You know, I went with the scrim results that reflected upon my counter picks against Camille, which was the Jax that got me a lot of wins during scrim, so I try to bring it here. I mean, I don't. It's just whatever, you know. Just going with the results here. Of course, game 1, we also thought that Wolf would have been a candidate for the MVP in game 1. Did he not have any complaints after the results came out? You know, I don't know what Wolf is thinking. Don't really bother to ask, but I'm sure, you know, the best man got the MVP, and I think the best man who got it deserved it at the end.
Humble.
Well, I think I was pretty happy with my result today, the way I played. And going on to game 2, we thought that the big change came through the player substitutions from their opponents. You know, it was almost to the point that I didn't even notice it, and really didn't play big of a difference when it came to game 2. And Faker didn't even mention about the Karma coming in. He just said, "Oh, that's a Karma," and that's all he said about the pick. And of course, with the game too, one of the highlights that we can show about Antara being decisive in getting the MVP for game 2. This is right here. It seemed like the opponents were desperate in getting you, Antara, here in this play. I mean, I just try to dodge the W as much as I can because trying to not get caught by the CC would get me in the safe zone with my teammates coming for cover. I mean, I wasn't really scared of that situation. I knew that my teammate was coming, and if I just bought enough time, that we could get the counter attack going. And it seemed like SKT has found the rhythm when it comes to making the covers and the quick covers that was needed by a lot of the laners.
그게 맞는 게 그게 실력이에요. 다 맞는 거거든요. 의식하지 않아도 자연스럽게 이어지는 거. 그렇죠. 그리고 최근에 사실 SKT가
And with SKT recently,
좀 변화가 있었어요.
and we did see a roster change with new additions to the team coming in. And with the practices going with those new players, how is it right now?
저희가 작년에도 그 정도 인원이 있었던 것 같은데.
I think even last year we had about this many members as we do now, but
그렇지는 않은 것 같아요.
I think it doesn't really make a big of an influence. We're just trying to get players that are right for this team and trying to get them ready. And just including that guy you see sitting next to me. It all goes through naturally where once they're ready, just trying to get focused onto the game. And
그 정도로. 그래서 울프 선수 코를 어떻게 하세요? 때리나요 뭐?
and how does Wolf treat the players?
그렇다 이거죠.
Well, I think he doesn't fight. I think he just worries about them making the right game and playing it out. Of course, with SKT having a little bit of struggle on their own, especially earlier in the season. And we've been hearing that a lot of beliefs on this not washing and all these weird habits that has been going with SKT. How does that still conquer into the team right now? It's a tough question you ask over there.
얼마나 고생을 하셨다 이런 거. 되게 진짜 과몰입하신 걸로 알고 있는데.
힘들어 하셨던 거 맞고.
I think like our coach was struggling a little bit, and those things you speak of, can't confirm it for sure, but
첫 부임이시고 한데.
since he took the head coach role, the records doesn't really reflect what he's definitely capable of as a head coach. But of course, he was trying to care for all of us and try to make sure we're all good to go. With all the two coaches, even under Koma, is that they've been former players and they know what it's like. And even Bengi, he takes care of me personally and tries to make sure I'm always ready to go for games. I think it's very important that all of our coaches do a good job of caring for our players.
네, 그렇죠. 근데 사실은 뭐 최근 또 연승 행진 계속하고 있고.
Of course, you guys are starting to do the consecutive wins with SKT now, and you can give all that credits to your coaches. But last question is that you have a lot of fans, obviously cheering you through the good and the bad, and anything you'd like to say to them?
네.
그냥 다음에
It's been a while for Tara.
I think next game, we're just kind of try to replicate today's results.
간결해요 역시 탑답게.
Untara 선수는 요즘 유행어 제조기잖아요.
그렇죠.
네, 그런 것만 한번 막 그런
People say that Untara is very short with his words, very concise.
알겠습니다. 다음에 이거 하는 거예요. 알겠습니다. 기대해 보도록 하겠고 뱅 선수도 마지막으로
Bang, you like to add on to that?
사실 주말인지 몰랐어요.
I didn't even know today was a weekend. I didn't know how time was passing by, but
팬분들 항상 응원해 주셔서
we always thank you for your support with all the fans coming out all the time.
주말 잘 보내시고
I hope you guys have a great weekend,
다시 다음 경기 때
and we'll try to be ready for the next game to show you guys a good performance again.
네, 다시 한번 두 선수에게 큰 박수 부탁드리겠습니다.
And that will be kind of a lengthy interview, very much deserved for SK Telecom picking up a 2-0 victory. I'm going to send it back to you guys.
Thank you very much, Joel. Good to hear from Untara. I haven't heard from him for a long time, and unfortunately the goodbyes weren't necessarily as long as we wanted to hear.
But a lengthy interview is the preview to a lengthy break, guys. Of course, that was a quick shellacking by SK Telecom T1. Even stronger than you could have expected based on their previous 3 wins. They struggled a bit against Kongnu Monster. No struggling today. Even throwing in Kuzan and Mighty Bear just accelerated the demise of ROX Tigers. About an hour of gameplay sees SKT. Look at this, jump to 5th spot. That's playoffs, Atlas.
Yeah, and that's also ahead in game score as well. KSV, they're going to have to watch out as well as SKT hot on their heels, wanting to get some revenge for Worlds last year, of course.
So we will have about an hour's break. It's 6:49 p.m. Korean Standard Time because we need the fans to show up on time because, of course, the domestic fans getting to the venue is one of the big priorities. We'll not start until 7:50 Korean Standard Time for our second series. It's a sick one you don't want to miss. We'll show it on the screen in just a moment. 2 teams in the top 3 will be coming in. Kingzone Dragon X, Afrika Freaks, both of them stumbling this week. One of them will be condemned to a 0-2 week.
Yeah. And Afrika Freaks could, if they manage to win here, equate to potentially a tie for first place, depending on how KT go tomorrow over at the Gangnam Stadium. So a lot of really exciting stuff as far as how close this league is concerned, but does mean that we're going to have to take a little bit of a break. Of course, we do need to try and shed the excitement that we had from SKT versus ROX and get ready for this ridiculous matchup. It's going to be insane, so an hour break. We'll be back just afterwards, guys.
Go watch some LPL, twitch.tv/LPL1, Jingdong Gaming on right now versus Fun Plus Phoenix. Come back in an hour, though. We're going to have some sick matches.
Damn right.
Coming up next, Kingzone Dragon X, Afrika Freaks, beginning of the end. 2018 League of Legends Champions Korea Spring Split.